Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're joined by Aaron Knightley. It is an honour to have you on.
Pleasure. Pleasure's all mine, mate.
No worries. So I think we'll jump in, first of all, with your pinned post on Instagram. That's who you are as soon as someone comes to your page. So who is Aaron Knightley?
Well, I always start off with, I'm not a big believer in titles, believe it or not. So I'll never do the typical, I'm a business owner, entrepreneur. I won't have a long list. I'm just Aaron Knightley. But, you know, the reason I had that particular video, because I think it tells my story quite nicely, is that from a young age, always wanted more, had a flair. So who is Aaron Knightley? I'm someone that wanted more. I went for more. I made very little excuses along the way. And then I ended up getting more. And I'm still on that journey to achieve more personally, professionally and financially. So, yeah, which I'm sure we're going to get into. But yeah, just look, very simple, a go-getter from the off, young age, up until this day as well.
Yeah, because I believe it was the birth of your son, which is what changed you from being, you're employed at the time, and then your son came along, and then you went to sort of into the entrepreneurship world. So what were you doing in employment? What was your job?
So it was in logistics. So I did a lot of scheduling, did a lot of routing, stuff like that. So it had somewhat responsibility to it, a lot of planning and stuff like that. And then also there was at one point during my job, there was sort of like logistics of engineering and stuff like that, like the movement of engineering. And I already had a bit of an entrepreneurial flair. And well, I wouldn't say a little bit. I had a big entrepreneurial flair before my son, where I tried a few things. You know, I did the whole selling things at school. I think we all do that. You know, it's quite cliche, really. You know, I sold things at school, but I did. I sold dust caps, pound for a pair for a pound, and there's a lot of cars that were missing dust caps. But me and Paul. And yeah, look, I liked making money. I think I grew up seeing my mum and dad work incredibly hard. We didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up. So I saw no money, but also I saw my mum and dad make really smart decisions in terms of they had good habits. No drugs, no alcohol. Like they've been very legit, straightforward, hard, sort of, you know, real working class, no excuses. So I adopted that high level of discipline. Don't spend money unless you have it. They weren't in debt or anything like that. So naturally I saw good habits, but I was a little bit more flary. I was a little bit more of a go-getter. I was loud. I was bolshy. I was very confident at a young age. And that makes you a little bit more curious. I was a bit inquisitive about certain things. I was a bit of a lad and stuff like that. I wasn't scared of adventure and trying new things. And, you know, I had a few opportunities sort of down an entrepreneurial route with an old business partner. I've tried property. We had a little wedding business as well. I had an eBay shop when I was 18 that did actually all right. It was making maybe a couple £100 a week reselling clothes, like infant junior clothes, but designer. And I tried a few things. I failed and I learnt rejection early on. But yes, you're absolutely right. When I had my son, and I just turned 20, I was like, I got to pull my finger out. Because, you know, I was in with the wrong crowd and stuff, but that was the kind of focus point, you know, that was what changed me.
Yeah. It's kind of, a lot of people, they jump into the entrepreneurship boat, like with no commitments, as it were. They're like what I did, I didn't have anything to that. There was no one relying on me. So if it all went tits up, it's just me. Like, so with a son, like just becoming a dad, that's a big, like an even bigger jump to make. Sort of, you know, you got your other half and now your son to support while going into the unknown. And you kind of push a lot of people to leave the 9 to 5 and chase entrepreneurship or the side hustle which you currently have and make that your full-time business. So is that like the driving factor for that kind of side of you?
So what it was for me is that I'm a big believer in I can't leave a stone unturned. Like if I do, I know that I'll regret it. So I can't move past a situation thinking if I don't do this or I don't at least give it a go, thinking, well, what's the worst that can happen? If I don't do it, I know that I'll beat myself up about it. So I think that's been good in a way for me because I've always tried things. I've not been afraid of rejection or failure, just naturally. So I haven't really had to learn that. I'm confident enough to know that if I'm trying to sell something and you say no, I'll counter it with A, B, and C. If we come to a no, I'll just move on. I won't be butthurt by it. You know, I'm not going to be emotional. I can just move on. So when I had my son, I was like, right, well, I know I don't want to work for someone else. And the reason I don't want to work for someone else is because I don't like the lack of respect for another human being based on your pay packet. That happens all the time. 85% of the people in the UK, working adults, hate their jobs. That's 43 million people roughly in the UK. So that's a huge stat and quite a worrying one. I wasn't going to be a part of that. And I'm fully aware as well, I'm not naive enough, or I'm not going to bury my head in the sand to say that if you want more from your life, well, we have all the resources at our fingertips. We're an abundance of information. There's nothing you can't learn. So it just comes down to getting on with it and making a change, right? So I was prepared to do all of that. When I had my son, I found it very odd that for so many years, you know, people will slave and work their arse off and absolutely break their body for this timeline of up until 60, 70 years old, and then hope to enjoy a period of it where I was like, well, you know, I'm young enough to put in the graft. And in hindsight, having a young son at a young age for me as well, at 20, was like, if I get my move on now for the next few years and really work smart, I could potentially enjoy a lot more of his life and my family's life and my partner. Yeah. And lo and behold, all came to fruition. And now at 31 years old, I do what I want each day, and I'm financially comfortable and I'm still growing.
Yeah. Do you think that's the way people are taught throughout school? You know, like, you go through school, get a job. Maybe if you're good, you can retire a little bit early, you know, enjoy the golden years, as they say.
Yeah.
And you're half broken and you want to go mountaineering.
Yeah.
And it kind of, that ship sailed a little bit.
Yeah.
Where it should really be the other way around a little bit more, where you graft and graft. Like what I did is I just grafted from 15, 16 through. And now I'm 26. I'm kind of getting the fruits of my labor come in. So I do have a lot more free time now.
Yeah.
And you put that into someone else who's in full-time employment, like 26, you know, they're just getting more, like, deeper and deeper into the hole, as it were.
I think parents, you need to start at the beginning. So with any problem or anything that is considered the norm, you need to go right back to the root cause. So I've learned over time, you reverse engineer everything. If you want to figure out how someone's doing something, we'll start from the success, work the way back. How did it happen, you know? So if you look at school, for example, and even look at parents, well, what's been the history of your parents? Have your parents had bad money habits? Have your parents had drug addiction? You know, and then you look at the children, and typically you can see a very similar path happening, unless there's other influences that are going to shape you in another way. And I think when it comes to the workplace and sort of this entrepreneurship and what's right and what's not, start with the parents. Have you had anyone in generations or in decades that has been an entrepreneur? If you come from a long line of workers, it's very likely that you could go into work and just be a part of the system. I think the thing now is we have so much information. It would be naive not to not explore new possibilities of. I actually don't like the word side hustle. It's so overused now. I'm trying to use the word like side venture or something else, but a little side business. But it is possible for everyone. I don't believe everyone could be an entrepreneur or a business owner. I do believe that everyone could earn an extra £500 to £1,000 a month. I do believe that, because you can systemize things and automate very basic business models with not a lot of stress and not a lot of commitment to bring in an extra stream of income. So that eliminates the whole don't make excuses. If you're struggling to pay the extra 70p on top of petrol, which was £1.10, and you can't pay it now at £1.80, go and earn the extra £500 to £1,000. It's very easily done and simple, you know, and not easy in the terms of that, you know, anyone can do it. But as long as you have a system and a process and you stick with it, of course you can do it. But look, like you, I am a big believer in that if you're going to leave school or college or whatever, get on with it. Don't waste time. I don't believe in this whole travel once you've finished university to go take a photo with an elephant. I don't know what you get. I don't understand gap year. I never have. I don't know what a gap year is. I interviewed someone in the street the other day and I said, what do you do? And he's like, I'm in uni, but I'm going to take a gap year. to find myself. I don't know what that means. And I don't know what the gap year is. And I think it's a waste. So my advice is for entrepreneurship, like you, when you're younger, that's the time to work and then reap what you sow in your mid-20s, early 30s.
Yeah, I say I kind of did what you preach not to do, where, you know, working the stupidly long hours for free, like, and your boss is getting all the gain and all the gain. Like my idea at the time was I just got to obtain as much knowledge as I can from this, to then go.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I did it. But a lot of people, they're not doing that.
Yeah.
They're just putting in the graft, not getting the overtime, and they're expecting a change.
Yeah.
When it's out of their hands, really. They're just waiting for something that may never come.
Yeah. It's also the realization. So again, I see this coming up all the time, and I have many conversations and comments and all that, but yet there has to be a perspective moment. So what did my son provide for me? My son provided real life perspective. Wow, it's not all about me now. I have someone that I have to care for and look after and make sure they make it to the age of 18, live, survive, and go on to do really good things. That's my job now. So how can I make that, you know, more, how can I be successful in doing that? Well, I need money behind me because that gives me options. That also allows me to enjoy his time as he's growing up. You're very limited to working in a job to do that, because if you are exchanging 30, 40, 50 hours, and let's face it, no one's really paid their value, right? No one's really paid their worth. And it's very strange, just on the pay thing, when you sit down in an interview, and if we sat down in an interview right now and I said, right, Oliver, you're going to be on £14 an hour, you're probably worth more than £14 an hour. It's very weird how people just go, yeah, I'm happy with that. Like, to have a call with me is £120 an hour. I'm booked out every week. You know, where do I get £120 from? Well, I just generated that number because that's what I think I'm worth an hour, you know, and that'll increase. So people accept it. But if you have real life perspective and you have a child, for example, you realize that you really want to enjoy those moments. And I don't want to be limited to when you can enjoy those moments. Oh, babe, you should have been at home. He's just said his first words. Oh, you're fucking joking. Did you get it on video? No, it was in the moment. Oh, fuck's sake. You know, and you miss it. I don't want to miss it, you know, so you have to create a life that you don't miss it, you know?
Yeah, a lot of people, I know so many people who put their kids, it's almost first and last. They're going out to earn the money, but at the same time being absent from their life. And this is what I saw growing up with my dad, like working 7 days a week, like hustling to keep my mum and my brother and sister afloat, like all of us afloat. Like there was no other income, it was just my dad.
Yeah.
So that's what I saw growing up. Like he wasn't always there, but he was out working. So that's what it installed a very good work ethic into me.
Yeah.
And he wasn't employed like he was, but when I was around, he was mainly self-employed. So kind of an entrepreneur almost. So that's kind of, I think, where I got it from. But again, when you're a kid, you those moments stick with you. Like someone not being there at times, you remember that for a while.
You do. But you know, the other thing as well that's like really important for me is making my own destiny in terms of taking control. So a good friend of mine who's very, very wealthy, one of the things that's always stuck with me, and I repeat this and I preach it as well, is that when you start to take control and you work for yourself, you have fulfillment, you have purpose, the one thing that money does bring is that sense of you don't have to put up with any shit. I really like that. I have a lot of people that say, Aaron, I'm being picked on, I'm being bullied, I'm being harassed, I don't get on with my work colleagues, I really don't like my job, but I need to pay my bills. I get it. I've been there. Like I've done it. I worked myself out of it. But now I don't put up with shit. I don't answer to you. I don't answer to him. I don't answer to anyone. The only one is my wife. That's the only person I answer. I don't answer to anyone. And I love that because I'm in full control of what I do day by day. I'm accountable for the failures, for the bad days, the good days and the ugly days. I'm okay with that. And as long as you can accept ownership, which I think the world needs more of, you know, I had one comment that really stuck out to me and I said, look, the cost of living is only a problem if you're not earning more money. And of course, we have the whole typical people, oh, listen to this Molly May, just earn more money. Yeah, earn more money. Like, everyone can do it. There's no discrimination. We're all playing a game of poker, right? Some of us have got harder hands. That's it.
It's a box I think people put themselves in. So you say, go out and earn more money. Well, I don't know how to earn more money in my job. But who said anything about in your job?
Yeah.
Like, there's so many other things you could do. You know, you could go out and sell trainers on the weekend.
Yeah.
That brings in more money. It's a very narrow way of looking at it, saying I can't earn more money unless my boss gives me a pay rise.
Yeah.
And millions of people, like probably hundreds of millions across the world, are in that mindset.
Yeah.
And it gets passed on, as you say, from parent to son or daughter. And you just get stuck in that cycle of, this is what I'm worth.
Yeah.
I'm not being paid more. So I guess this is it.
Yeah. And do you know, just touching on that with the I can't mentality, and as they say, you know, the ones that say you can't are usually right. The ones that say you can are usually right as well. It is a mindset thing. So to run a successful business or start a successful business, you don't need to be a genius, but you need to be the person that has the ability to continue running it, to rebound, get back on the horse, to overcome fear, rejection, failure, whatever it is. That's the type of person that will eventually, everyone has their own timeline, which is different in business, but eventually it will happen. It's like that image of two guys mining for the diamonds. One guy now gives up, but he was about a meter away. The other guy doesn't stop and he reaches the diamonds. It's very much similar. One comment that stuck out on my cost of living is a guy that turned around to me and said this, and this baffles me because when people say, well, earn more money, yeah, how? Well, the same as I did. Go learn. Like, learn. You know, if you have to tell someone all the answers, it's quite concerning. There's no common sense, it's rare sense. And this guy turned around to me in one of the comments and he said, well, Aaron, you're saying there isn't cost of living crisis and it's made up. I'm not saying it's that it's made up, but it is very media driven and we can counter it. Like, you can go defensive with your money for so long, but then you need to go on the offense. And he said, I work full time, I have a young family. When do you expect me to earn extra money? At night? And I turned around to him and said, yeah, because that's what I done. I went to work full time, 40 plus hours a week.
Yep.
I had a young family. I came home when everyone was asleep late at night. I would open my laptop and I'd work an extra 2-3 hours a night. And I would work on my days off. When you start a business, weekends don't exist. And let me share something with all your viewers as well, is when someone says, well, how do you find balance between work life, home life and business life? When have you ever seen two people on a seesaw that's balanced? You don't. That's what it is. It's up and down. It's up and down. So it doesn't exist. But how much do you want it is the question, you know?
Yeah. Same for me when I was building my my business. That was just 7 days a week. Like, I think I did almost a year straight, 7 days a week, and it gets tough. But again, how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
And if you want it bad enough, you put in the hours, you find the hours to put in, and you sacrifice going out with the lads on the Friday.
Absolutely.
To hustle on your business.
Yeah.
And if you're not making it and you're going out partying, that's your choice. That's your fault. Yeah. It's not the world's fault. It's your own fault of the choices you're now making. It's
priorities.
Yeah.
When people say to me now, how do you have the mindset that you have? There is nothing I'm not willing to sacrifice. You know, there's nothing I'm not. Aaron, you can't go out for a restaurant meal for the next 2 years. Fine. Aaron, you can't. You have to get a scooter everywhere you go now. Fine. So no one's going to say something to me apart from, not going to be like, oh, you can't see your son or anything, something ridiculous. But in terms of things that I can change, there is nothing that I'm not willing to do for the short to medium term in order for the long-term gain that will benefit me and my family. That there is nothing I'm not willing to do. I went years with not having a nice car. I went years driving on the Orange. I did have actually 2 scooters because they were so cheap. I had a Vespa and this other Chinese brand, and I had them because I was really cash stacking and I was investing very well. I've invested my own personal money for nearly 10 years in total now, and I've done very well with the compound effect. And I've just been smart with money, but those are choices that I've been able to make just as someone else could have. So someone else at 31 might not have any money in the bank, but let's have a look over the last 10 years of what you've been doing. every subscription known to man. Drink, fags, drugs, going out, finance in the car. I didn't do all that. But again, we're in a world at the moment where everyone's trying to prove a point. Everyone wants to buy something, so look flashy.
Yeah, I think that leads on to what you're talking to about downstairs. Why do you want loads of views on social media? Like, what is the reason? Like, you want the celebrity status. You want to be recognized in the street, but for what?
Yeah. Well, this is a good starting point. So, you know, if you're starting on TikTok, why do you want to go viral? Why do you want millions of views? What are you trying to prove? It has to be for something tangible. It has to be meaningful. You have to have a reason why. So I'll never sit here and say I do TikTok so that someone might recognize me in my local town. I'm not bothered by it. I'm never seeking external validation. I'm happy with who I am. You know, I'm inner happiness and I'm content. I think a lot of people are jumping on the camera to go for that exposure. So if they go for a pizza, they might get recognized. But there's no longevity in that. Like, build a business, have something that you can be proud of and that gives you fulfillment and purpose. And also, when the monetary gains come in, that's when the light bulb moment goes off and goes, if I really build TikTok, YouTube into a business, I could replace my income. I could be extremely fulfilled, and this could be like next level. But you have to have that vision. You've got to see beyond the views, you know?
Yeah. It's a very, it's a lot of like dopamine hits.
Yes.
And no, I've fallen into that trap. So I watched one of your videos. It popped up the other day just as I promoted a video, and you were like, don't promote videos. And I was
don't
like,
pay for ads.
Yeah. I was like, damn it. And you notice a difference in the spike and then the drop off.
Of course.
Then you're like, oh damn it, maybe I should just promote again to get that dopamine hit back.
Yeah. And that's where, but you know, that video now just done over 1 million, but that woke up a lot of people. And it amazed me really, because to me that's obvious. What's every social platform? It's a business, right? It's got to make money. So one of the most lucrative ways for a platform to make money is paid ads, you know, and really suckering people in. And that's the thing. When you start on social media, start by being detached. Manage it as a business and think, right, I'm doing this for credibility, reputation, to add value and to build something sustainable that is going to solve a problem. I say it to people all the time. When you start on social media, don't do it for vanity, solve a problem. Because if you solve problems, you make a lot of money.
Yeah.
You make a lot of money when you solve problems.
The bigger the problem,
the bigger the problem, the bigger the money. And then what happens with social media, especially TikTok, then when you hit virality and you're solving a problem within that particular content, you're going to cash in. Brand deals, endorsements, sponsorship, views on the new creativity fund. Happy days. So you've got to do it with that reason why, not just I'm going to do something stupid and I'm going to go push a man into a lake. You're going to gain nothing from it. And actually, you're going to close off a lot of doors. If you do stupid shit on TikTok, do you think Adidas or JD is going to sponsor you? They're going to look through your content and go, we ain't touching him with a barge pole.
So would you say your content's changed at all through when you first started on TikTok through now? Because what have you been, is it 12 months or so?
Just over, yeah.
And what have you done? Hit 250 million views? 250
million views plus now on TikTok. And I would say, has my content changed on TikTok? I would say no. I suppose I have more of a structure with my core pillars. So this is kind of my advice just around TikTok. If you're going to start on TikTok, have 4 core pillars or 3. You can break it down to 3 if you don't want to spread yourself so thin amongst 4. So have 3 core pillars, and that's a 70-20-10 rule. So 70% is your core content that you pump out, that you dominate or you show authority in an industry. 20% is maybe a little bit of lifestyle, a little bit behind the scenes. And then 10%, have that for your viewers, replying, messages, a little bit quirky. Maybe they want to see something different. Maybe you want to do a vlog of a day going out, whatever, to show the personality, and then run that consistently. And then I would say post 3 times a day for at least 6 months, because, you know, some people go, what, that's a lot. Yeah, but what you do is you get good analytics. How do you grow? You need to be able to measure something, right? So posting in the morning, afternoon and evening, you'll get a report at the end of the week and you can go, right, this worked, this didn't work. I can double down on this. So that's how I would have it. 3 core pillars on a 70-20-10 split if you're starting on TikTok.
So when would you post? So when you were doing 3 times a day, would it be like morning, midday, evening?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just consistently. And I did that literally, even when I had my first video sort of blow up, I just stayed with it. Again, you know, I've never been, the great thing I think with me, and the thing that I'm proud of, I suppose, is that even when I've seen these spikes, honestly, like some people will get the jitters and they'll be like, oh my God, you know, we're going out tonight. I've just kind of like, right, on to the next video. I don't like my dopamine levels don't go up if I get great views. I just think that worked. I got to do something very similar, but try and add even more value, you know, so which obviously we might get onto with the business stuff, but how you get people to buy or how you earn money is you overwhelm people with huge amounts of value. TikTok is one of the best platforms to just provide an abundance of value, and the more answers and the more questions you can give, just overwhelm someone and they think, oh my God, like this fucking content is awesome. You're going to have like this loyal following. Like my engagement's through the roof. Like honestly, dude, we'll be sitting here. I'll have hundreds of comments that I can't even reply to. Such high engagement for the amount of followers I've got. Like you would think I have 1 million followers for the engagement that I get.
Yeah.
And that's because I try and reply to everyone. You know, I really try and nurture people.
Yeah, and it's all been done organically, hasn't it? You've
Absolutely.
never paid for an ad or anything like that.
All organic. Yeah,
that's
all organic. And even with like lead funnels, someone said to me the other day, they were like, oh my God, your breakout, like, you know, you were talking about some of the numbers, and I shared some of the numbers that I had, applicants, all organic. And even the funnels, they're organic. Like it's natural. And then what I do is I showcase testimonials that are organic. I don't ask for testimonials. I just screen cap or get in contact with people that have had results from me. And I'm like, look, do you mind if we just show this? And it's all real proof of concept. No one's being paid, you know, there's none of it. So, and that stands for a lot in business.
Yeah.
Real, organic, highly valued customers that love what you do. And then they go on to buy anything, to be honest with you, which works for a great business.
Yeah, again, like going back to the high views and like, you know, you're getting that like, yes, I've gone viral. My girlfriend actually had a video and I think it hit about 2.5 million views. And it was not like informative. It was just a funny video.
Yeah.
And I think she made like £1 off of it or something ridiculous like that. Did her life change? No. Like nothing in her life changed after that video.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people expect, you know, that one video to go viral and their whole life's then going to change. Yeah. And I think in reality, it doesn't.
I mean, do you know what? There's 2 sides to this. So if you're going for viral views or you have viral views that have no meaning behind it, your life won't change. You'll be recognized perhaps and more people see your videos. But this is, I would say, if I was going to say, what is the secret sauce? The secret sauce to growing on TikTok is have a business behind it. Like become the business owner before the content creator. Because if you have a great business or a great product or a great service, and then you merge that and use social media to complement your business, you can earn a fortune. So when I say to people, start producing TikTok videos, I'm not saying it because I think you might be bored and you've got nothing to do. Is because that if you do it in the right way, you position yourself, you open yourself for endorsement, brand deals and sponsorships, your life can change. And it's very weird to say the word TikTok could change your life, but my life has dramatically changed in 12 months. Look at RD, look at Central C, look at the guy, the country singer in America talking about the state and the government not paying people, offered a $9 million record label. He turned it down. A couple of months later, he's offered $20 to $30 million, which then he accepted. Your life can change, but you need to position yourself well, produce content that's value. Don't cut off your nose to spite your face because you wanted big viral views, but now Disney or Adidas won't work with you because you did something stupid and you said something fucked up. Build a business and then become the content creator and you'll earn a lot of money.
Yeah. So the businesses you have now, so you got Peak Performance Events, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was that was built before your TikTok?
During,
and you've got the Breakout program.
Breakout, and then I have Knightley Investments, which I've had for nearly 10 years now. That was the That was the company that allowed me to leave my full-time job, which is an investment company. And then I have a consultation side of my investment company as well, which is a separate entity. And social media is a business now. So, social media on itself, specifically TikTok and YouTube, that I would say that's really a business of its own. TikTok definitely is holding more weight and more strength. But I can tell you this. I mean, look, when people say, what a load of rubbish, you can't earn an extra 500 or, I'm struggling with the cost of living. If you are struggling with the cost of living and you're not bringing enough money, one of the easiest ways is start a TikTok. But again, you need to solve a problem. You need to add value. And I can promise you now, if you smash TikTok for 3 to 4 to 5 months and you do it in the right way, you're consistent, you show up, you improve your content, especially around audio and visuals, and you're good with hooks, I promise you now, £2,000-3,000 a month is really, really achievable in a period of maybe 3 to 6 months. I'm not making it up. I've done it.
Yeah.
I imagine next March, I'll be close to 6 figures solely from TikTok. So it's absolutely possible. And I urge you to start on TikTok.
So that'll be, again, 3 times a day posting.
Absolutely.
And that could be just replying to comments in the video format.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I did 5 videos the other day, just picked it up on my phone, plugged it in, £25 mic, and just did 5 videos, as I'm walking about in the park, whatever. And then obviously with my editor, we film a full day on Friday, might come away with 20, 30 clips. So, but as you evolve, the other thing is when you start earning money, reinvest it. That's the problem. I don't agree with the saying of, so just talking about money for a second, when people say, well, the more money you earn, the more you spend. Rubbish. I've earned more money in my life now than I've ever earned. I barely spend anything. I'm wearing my old work trousers. I actually used to wear to work. I did get myself some nice Tims the other day because we're going to Disney. I wear most of my own merch. I wear an Apple Watch. I don't really spend money on anything.
yeah.
I'm not materialistic. I'm not trying to prove a point. I went and bought a nice car. We went and bought a nice car the other day. We've had a couple of nice cars over the last few years, but that's because we can afford it. But other than that, mine's like 98% profit, 2% expenditure. It's laughable, really, but we can all do that. I'm not one of a kind. We can all do that.
Yeah, our business is slightly different. So we're in the trades. So we have a very high operating cost.
Right.
So we got to make a lot of money before then we hit break even and then we hit profit. But a lot of people make the mistake of not knowing what their daily break even is.
Yeah.
And just, right, I've made £900 today. This is great. So I can take like £500 for myself and we'll keep 400 in the business. But no.
I want to share something with you. I'm going to just talk until I get it up because I know it's on my Canva. I'm pretty sure I created it on my Canva. This is, I think I did, right. So obviously we're in a day and age where we can start digital businesses, right? So I'll read this out. When people say, so a woman most recently asked me in the comments, Aaron, you're talking about this cost of living. It is affecting me. I'm a single parent. I can't make more money. You're saying work at night, but I can't leave my children. And I said, whoa. I said, who said leaving your children? I said, work through the night at home. She said, well, how'd you do that? I said, come on. Laptop, it's very cliche, but you can start a business on your phone and laptop. That's the God's honest truth. But there are some checks that you need to do. And just to validate a business, one, you always want to know before you start a business, is there a market for it? So you almost want to test the market. Will people buy from you for your product or service? Can you solve a problem? Can you look at a certain industry that's a bit fat and bloated that you reckon you could thin up, lean it, and make some money off of it? But just for your viewers, I shared this. So this is what I would do. So before you start any business in the 21st century, this is a checklist I put together, which you want to ask yourself, because ultimately you want to start a business that is digital, timeless, spaceless, thrives in the next pandemic, if there is one, and that you can scale wherever there is Wi-Fi. That's the ultimate situation. So run this by, is your business online? Is your business physical or digital? Can you operate your entire business from a laptop or a phone? Can you serve customers in every country? Can you use social media to market your business organically? Can you operate your business by yourself? Do you need staff to grow your business? How much capital is required? Which nowadays is pretty much nothing. Can you start your business with no money? How much does your business cost to run each month? Is your business active or passive, which is really important? And can you scale your business to 5, 6, and 7 figures within a reasonable period of time? How many customers can you serve per week? Really important. Does your business still operate in another pandemic? Coming up to the last couple. Does your business make money if you were not active in the business? And can you build an educational program off the back to teach other people about that business? Those are questions that you need to ask and validate before you ever start a business in today's day and age. If most of the answers are yes, you're going to make a lot of money.
Yeah, I think I heard this thing. I can't remember who said it. It's saying if the market is saturated, like it's a big, like everyone's in it, it's normally going to be a good market. But if you're in a market and you're just looking around and there's no one else there, you most likely are in the market which there's no money to be made.
Yeah.
And the industry we're in is incredibly saturated. It's cutthroat, and you just got to fight for it. Like you just got to level up, and then you make more money, and it's like a snowball effect. As long as you keep putting in the work, doesn't matter how saturated it is.
Yeah,
you will make money.
Yeah, it's like, you know, a friend of mine who is a barber. He said to me, "Thinking of starting a barber's, but have a look at the barbers that are on this road." This is my, and you take this concept of what I'm about to say. I get asked this all the time as well. Aaron, I'm thinking about starting a business, but I think it's oversaturated, or, you know, I want to open a barber's. Okay, let's say you want to open up a barber's. How do you thrive in starting a new barber shop that maybe has 5 other barbers there? So for me, when have you ever been to a barber and they've got in the chair a USB port that you can charge your phone? I've never been to one, but I'm always wanting to charge my phone. I always ask my barber, can I use your charger? That's why I carry a portable one now. The other thing is men's haircuts are becoming longer, right? So in the mirror, why don't we have a TV in the background that reflects off the mirror, and we have a remote and we get Netflix, and maybe we can put some headphones on, or when, you know, we can connect up. It has to be different. Maybe now, instead of charging us for the wet towel, maybe you can just build that in. Maybe we have the wet towel and a little bit of a face massage for free. Maybe you have a nicer coffee machine. I mean, the barbers I go to, it tastes like piss water. So maybe it's a really high quality, well invested Nespresso machine that's going to make me go, well, there's this new barber's open down the road. I've been with you guys for like 10 years, but it's got a charger for my phone. They seem pretty good. They have a full-time videographer there, which I wouldn't mind getting in a few videos. Their coffee is banging. Maybe they have a barista that's in there. It has to be different. So even if it's saturated, if you go on Google and type the market cap for barbering, I'm sure it's hundreds of millions a year in the UK. So the money's there, but you've got to be different, and then you've got to market it correctly. How many barbers do you see a full-time videographer pumping out content? So there we go. I want commission on that one.
So it's with us, everyone is so similar. Like we're in the tree industry, so we look after trees across the southeast, and you can line up, you can line up 50 companies, and the differences between them are going to be so small. It's like clones of each other, apart from they got different names, different sizes, but it's the same. So when someone comes in, and I know this for a fact, I've got a friend who is doing 7 figures now in the industry over a short space of time, and he did something different, and it just hit off like crazy. Like the growth in his time doing trees is almost unheard of in that, and it's just from doing something different. Yeah.
Well, look at the guy, I can never remember his last name, Daniel, the guy who has like aggregates.
Asheville.
Asheville. Is his business overly exciting? No, it's not. It's an industrial kind of very labor intensive business that he has. But what has he done just brilliantly is marketing.
Yeah.
He's got an incredible videographer, incredible editors, does daily vlogs, weekly vlogs, and he showcases the good, the bad, and the ugly of business. You know, and that's what people want. People want that authentic, transparent view of business to decide whether it's for them or not. And, you know, what I would always try and empower people is to say, you know, try business. It's not as risky as you think. You know, this whole 90% of businesses fail in the first 2 years, that irritates me because it's an old number. That's baby boomer stuff. That number is now 18.4%. because the risk is so low now, because it's such a low entry into business by a laptop and a phone and sitting in your lounge and working in your spare hours. The risk has dramatically dropped. So, giving it a go. But the most important thing is looking at that business and going, how can I be different to everyone else? Right. The industry am I in? Who are my competitors? What's their marketing like? Crap. Great. I've got the advantage there. How many free things are given away? Right. I've got the advantage there. Let me create a load of ebooks and PDFs, and, I'll do 4 times the amount of content that the other guy does or the other woman does. You've got to outshine the competition. And the other thing as well is that, look, with business, it's a blueprint, right? I learned this from a good friend of mine, and I thought it's probably one of the best analogies. For those that turn around and say, well, I don't know how to start a business, Aaron. So this is for anyone that turns around and says, I don't know how to start a business. Let's look at it this way. I don't know how to bake a cake. I've got no idea how to bake a Victoria sponge or a velvet. I have no idea. But if someone gives me a recipe and I follow it, I'm likely to have some form of a cake at the end of it. It's probably not going to be very good, but the point is I'll have a cake if I follow the recipe. But what will happen is the next 2, 3, 4 times, my Victoria sponge, Oliver, you're going to be saying to me, Aaron, when you're next coming up on the pod and bringing a sponge with you, because it's going to be good at the end of it. But it might take me a while. It's the same with business. Show up, improve, make mistakes, don't make them again. Rinse, repeat, be consistent. And, maybe 12, 18, 36 months pass and you've got an incredible business and you're living a happy life with more time freedom and financial stability because you followed a blueprint.
Yeah. And a lot of people are stuck in, again, like the boomer mindset, the baby boomer mindset of a business means lots of staff.
Yeah.
And an office and things like that. Like for us, yes, but I chose that. Like I knew that was what I wanted anyway. I wanted all the staff. I wanted the office. That's what I want. But again, as you say, it's on your phone.
Yeah.
You could just have yourself and your brother.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot nowadays to build a business. And especially now with AI, mate, you've got like a whole army of
it's evolving
people.
I used it while I was waiting for you downstairs. I use it all the time because it's instant. AI is going to make a lot of jobs obsolete. I think we know that's coming. But just going back to the crux of business and just employment, going back to what's really important first and foremost, we're talking about running the business and stuff like that. The first thing you need to do to run a successful business is your time evaluation. How much time do you have free and available to build that business? The second evaluation is your financial evaluation. How good are you with your money? What is your relationship like? How much money do you have coming in to what goes out? And then thirdly is your social evaluation. Who are you hanging around with? I say to everyone, open up your WhatsApp and your call log and actually have a look at the people that you've been spending time with and talking to. Is it just memes of penises, whatever it might be? Or are you talking about marketing, sales, growth, business meetings, organizing Zooms, PR, whatever it might be? Those 3 evaluations are so important because they will determine the path that you take in business and the likelihood of you being successful. So for me, always very good with my time, very structured, routine, disciplined from an early age, very, very on it, very, borderline sort of very anal around it, OCD stuff. And in terms of my financial evaluation, very good. Never been a spender, always a saver and investor. And then my social circle, I have the ability to cut people off that I know aren't good for me and surround myself without an ego or a chip on my shoulder to build and nurture really good relationships. And I'm very lucky to this day. My network is around about $2.8 billion with the people that are within it. This is a very, very wealthy phone in terms of contact list on it. So I can really tap into people who are quite powerful, quite wealthy, and very nice, charitable people. Once you've done those 3 evaluations, then figure out your business model and really drive it forward.
Yeah, no, the power of the people you surround yourself with is incredible.
Yeah.
And people go out and find all these like wealthy individuals or titans of industry, and they look at that, but they don't think, are the people that I'm hanging around with now going to benefit me or just make me go backwards?
And some people find it hard to cut off people.
Yeah.
That's the other thing.
They could be lifelong friends. They could be family members. And it's that ever bit harder to cut those ties.
Yeah.
I did it, I think it was 2018, 2019 with some long-time friends, and it would not been good. Like, I would not be where I am today if I kept them around.
Yeah.
And it is hard at the time, but it's necessary to do it. It's like if you had like a disease and you got to lose a limb, otherwise you're going to die.
Yeah.
You would take it.
But do you know what? I want to touch on just a couple of things here, specifically with the UK. America are more pro success and pro being around, the pro money and stuff like that. But in the UK, a lot of this conversation is a bit taboo. It's seen as a bit snobby, and it's not. Wanting more from your life should not be seen as a bad thing or snobby or, look at you want more. You want to be better than us. It's not that. You're allowed to want more from life. And I think everyone should want more because it's there for the taking, and it can be, it can be such a better life. And this whole thing of, wealthy people, it's that whole Robin Hood stealing from the poor. All wealthy people are bar humbug, Scrooge, and they're all lonely and miserable. Well, I know plenty of wealthy people who do over 100 million a year, and I can tell you now, they are unbelievably happy, and even if they were unhappy, they would always rather cry in a Bentley than on a push bike in the rain. It's just the truth.
I think there's a difference with America and the UK, especially with exotic cars. In America, you know that guy that goes up like, what do you do for a living? Like, onto the people with the nice cars. You can't do that in England. Like, look at this dickhead. It's like driving around the Ferrari.
Yeah. And do you know what? I urge that. So this is something else. I tell people this all the time because, again, the thing with entrepreneurs, there is this unwritten rule to help other entrepreneurs, right? It should just be a case of trying to help people. That's the right thing to do, right? And that's the difference between the employed world. It's very backstabby, go for a promotion, look after number one, feed my family. In entrepreneurship, collaboration, growth, who do you know, who do I know, fair exchange in value, let's all grow together, there's enough piece of the pie. There's like huge difference. And of course there are some dog eat dog situations, but in general, the more you collaborate, the more you all grow. It's a mutual benefit. Whereas between a manager and an assistant, there's only one winner, and it's the manager. The manager won't want to promote the assistant or teach them the full job, because then that's called you're creating direct conflict of interest and competition. So that's why that happens. But with entrepreneurship, I actually do recommend, I say to people, go into Mayfair and knock on the Bentley, knock on the Rolls Royce. You might have to knock on 10 of them and just say, excuse me, I hope you don't mind me asking, what do you do for a living? You might have a few people say, fuck off, I don't want to talk to you. Who are you? Go away. But you will have one that will say, absolutely. And if you just say, look, all I want, three tips and 30 seconds on how you got to where you are and what you do, that business owner or entrepreneur sitting in that Rolls Royce or Bentley may turn around and say, what's your name, kid? And they see a little bit of them in them, and they say, let's go for a coffee. Look, I quite like what you're doing. You've had guts to even come up and knock on the car. Let's go for a coffee around the corner, and I'll tell you what I do, and let me see what you're about. Could happen. It's happened to me many a times. So it could happen to someone else.
I see it with people in my company who remind me a lot of myself when I was their age. And I don't know, people call it favoritism. Maybe, I don't know, I just see myself in them, and it's something like, I don't know what it is. You kind of want to like help them along and do better. I had a conversation with actually one of the guys yesterday, and we were talking about like goals and stuff, and he was like, I don't think I'm ever going to get to any of my goals. I was like, what do your goals entail? And he was like, money. I was like, but what is the money for? He was like, cars. I'm like, cool, so you love cars. He's like, but I'm never going to get that money to get the cars. I was like, just flip cars. Just literally go and buy and sell and just start working your way up. Just flip cars. If you're that into cars, start flipping cars. Yeah. And it is that simple. Yeah. I'm not saying, it's this extremely hard thing. Like, just go and try it.
It's simple to decide. So this is the confusing part where people bury their head in the sand. Do you know why typically, and especially a lot of baby boomers who kind of hate on the younger generation that are earning big money by doing things that perhaps, picking up the phone and other cool things and earning money from it. There is a little bit of hate towards it, but when I say everyone can do it, everyone can. So the decision is very simple to say, right, your guy here, he wants money for his cars. To earn more money, the decision to do that is very simple. But the hard part, which a lot of people don't like to face, is the sacrifice that now comes with it. Cancel your Netflix, cancel your Now TV. You can't go out on a Friday and a Saturday. You're going to have to not see your friends, your really close friends that you see every week for a coffee or a beer. You're going to have to cut that off because you need the money in the bank. You also need the time. That's the really important thing. You are going to have to work late at night because you say you want those cars. You say you want that Rolex, but you need to put in the you need to make those sacrifices. Now you need to have a huge amount of discipline, huge amount of accountability. That's the really hard part where people go, oh, I don't want that. Which is crazy because what's the alternative? I always say to people, okay, what's the alternative? You don't go and start a new business whilst you're working full time. What's the alternative? What do you mean? Well, what will happen if you don't do it? Well, I'll just carry on in my life. Okay, so you don't have a consequence. You need a repercussion. People don't tend to do shit unless there's a repercussion or something that is horrific. I always had my reason why, if I don't do this, I won't have time freedom. I won't have private medical care. And in a world that everything is going up in price, people's pensions might not be there. I think of everything, what's it going to be like in 20 years' time? If the world is in an absolute shit state, if I got the money, just fuck off somewhere. That's what I think of. I put myself in a position of consequence if I don't make a sacrifice or a better decision. Not in the here and now. I can't stand YOLO. I fucking hate YOLO.
I think to wrap up, because we have actually steamrolled through this.
Yeah.
What would be something you would give, like a piece of advice to new parents who are sitting on the fence about, stuck in this job and I've just had kids.
Yeah.
What would your advice to them be?
So yeah, it's like that average kind of situation. So my best advice to working parents to change their circumstances and provide a better life is, one, it starts with education. You don't know what you don't know. So if you are a working parent, young family, whatever, maybe you've got a bit of debt, you live in the normal life, but you want more, it's got to start with education. Self-education will earn you a fortune, by Jim Rohn, but it's totally true. Then you've really got to look at who you're hanging around with. Go to networking events. Start learning good money habits and have a serious chat. If you're in a relationship, and you've got kids and stuff like this and you want more for them, which you should as a parent, have that honest conversation with your partner and say, look, I think we're in for a rough road for the next 12 to 18 months. Are we in it? Are we really committed to this? And I truly believe if you make that commitment as working parents, single or together with someone else, but your reason why is your child, you should be unstoppable, right? Like it was for me. I had my son. Well, I didn't have my son. My wife had my son, and it was like, again, going back to, there is no alternative. I have to make a success of what I'm doing because I love him so dearly and I want him to have a good life that I have to go without things and I have to make sacrifices. And education is everything. You don't know what you don't know. When you see up, hear up, and know up, you'll believe in up. And that's when your life changes, but you've got to commit to it. So that'd probably be my biggest thing for parents and getting out the workplace.
Perfect. Thank you very much.